We will move on and we'll tell you about North Korea because its leader says the latest missile launches were a way to test the ability of its nuclear weapons to wipe out American and South Korean targets. Kim Jong Un also acknowledged plans to conduct more tests. Kim said the launches were in response to joint naval drills between the U.S. and South Korea. Rob McBride has more from Seoul.
The North Koreans have said very little about this flurry of ballistic missile activity that's gone on pretty much unchecked for 2 weeks, continual launching of these missiles, the last week of September, the first week of October. And then today, Monday, the official North Korean news agency comes out with almost a pronouncement, a long declaration of exactly what it's been doing, the dates of the tests, the types of missiles being launched and tested, with photographs showing Kim Jong Un, the North Korean leader, overseeing all of these tests. And basically, the headline to come away from this is that the North Koreans say that all they have been doing is carrying out what they call tactical nuclear drills. This is the supposed development of smaller tactical nuclear devices. Now, these are the kind of miniaturized nuclear warheads that you would put onto a rocket or a short-range ballistic missile. It does require an awful lot of technical advancement, of technology and technological know-how in order to do this. And it's unclear just how advanced the North Koreans are in developing tactical nuclear warheads. But certainly they are working on the delivery systems for these types of warheads. They've also, as well as carrying out shorter range ballistic missiles, probably the most serious development over the past couple of weeks was last week on October the 4th. They launched an intermediate range ballistic missile right over the top of Japan that landed in the Pacific Ocean. That caused obvious alarm from all of North Korea's neighbors. It's the first time they've carried out such a launch like that in 5 years. And the North Koreans say that that is a new type of missile. They also say that they have been practicing and developing the technology to have explosions in the air above the ground. Now, that's the kind of delivery that you would use if you were launching a nuclear device.
So, as Rob was just saying, Kim Jong Un made acquiring tactical nuclear weapons a top priority at a key party congress in January last year. Tactical nuclear weapons are different from long-range strategic nuclear weapons as they can be used over short distances. They can be deployed in many different ways and even fired as artillery shells on battlefields. The size and power of these weapons can vary from less than 1 kiloton to 100 kilotons. By comparison, the atomic bomb dropped on Hiroshima in the Second World War was 15 kilotons. North Korea revised its nuclear doctrine last month. This law includes using preemptive nuclear strikes to protect itself if an enemy nation tries to remove Kim Jong Un from power. And Kim has declared the North an irreversible nuclear power. Let's speak to Leonid Petrov, who's a North Korea specialist and a visiting fellow at the Australian National University College of Asia and the Pacific. He's in Sydney and he's joining us live. Welcome to Al Jazeera. Why would tactical weapons be a priority for North Korea now?
Well, the Korean Peninsula has been at war, for the last 70 plus years since North Korea tried to unify the peninsula by force and found itself under counterattack. And back then, even Soviet Union or China would not even think about sharing nuclear technology with the Kim's regime. But these days, the indigenous nuclear technology, which Kim Jong Un has inherited from his father and grandfather, became the trump card for the regime's survival. And looking at what is happening in Ukraine, looking at what Moscow is threatening the world these days, North Korea has quickly shifted its threats from strategic or long-range missiles and weapons of mass destruction, which potentially may target the faraway countries, to something more nearby threat with tactical weapons.
Right, so how advanced is North Korea in actually developing these tactical nuclear weapons?
Well, the nuclear weapons would use the same technology and the production of highly enriched uranium or processed plutonium, but the yield delivered by the device would be much smaller, and of course the size of the warhead or a bomb is going to be smaller, which can be mounted not only in a rocket, even if it's a short-range missile, but can be also dropped from the airplane, brought closer to the front line on a truck, or brought by a submarine and detonated somewhere near the coastal line.
So what would it mean if Kim Jong Un actually resorted to using them?
Well, the problem with tactical nuclear weapon is that it's going to affect the launching country as much as the also the destination land or the enemy, because it depends on the direction of the wind, also how tested technology is, and North Korea hasn't tested its nuclear devices for the last 5 years, and the most recent test was a hydrogen bomb, the thermonuclear weapon, which was much more powerful, and certainly it would be a suicidal attempt to use that type of weapon. So that's why Kim Jong Un is much more focused now on something of a more precision strike with a low yield delivery, with potential threat to be delivered not only to the enemies from far away, but from nearby. And South Korea is still a place which is where 38,000 US troops are stationed, and also the US allied countries have their assets around the Korean Peninsula as well, which may be destroyed or defeated just at once.
Thank you so much for speaking to us from Sydney.